So what we're going to take a look at now is to take advantage of some of Formik's features to write a bit less code when we're creating our forms. We don't want all of this boilerplate inside here if we can help it. So let's go back to the documentation in Formik, and what we've got inside Formik is the API reference, and the documentation is excellent for Formik. And what we're going to do, we've already used Formik, and this is what we put our form inside. We use the render props pattern where we pass down props to the form that we created earlier. But now we're going to take a look at a couple of components that we get with Formik, including the form component and the field component. And Formik's form is a small wrapper around an HTML form element that automatically hooks into Formik's handle submit and handle reset, and all other props are passed directly through the DOM node. Okay, but what we're also going to use is the field, and the field will auto-magically hook up inputs to Formik. It uses the name attribute to match up with Formik's state, and the field will default to an HTML input element. So, all we need to do, if we want to take advantage of this, is we need to bring in form from Formik. Now we've got form that's coming in here from Semantic UI React, but form, it uses also form as well. So we'll need to come up to our imports at the top, and what we'll do is we'll bring in form from Formik, and we'll also bring in field. And of course we get a conflict because we've got two things with the same name, so we'll need to delete the one from Semantic UI React. However, this was giving us the styling for our form, so we still need the styles. But what we can do is we can come down to our form element, and we can give it a class name, and we can just set this equal to UI form, and this is going to give us the Semantic UI styling that we had before. And what we're going to do, we're going to swap the form inputs for fields. So let's highlight the form input. We'll use the Command-Shift-L to select all of the form inputs, and we'll just swap them for field. And we'll do the same for the text area here as well. Now the only thing that we need to give our fields is the name property and a placeholder. So that means the value we don't need in any of these fields, nor do we need the onChange event. This can go. And we can do the same for all of the other properties inside our form here. So let's just remove all of the values, and then we can just select the onChange and say Command-Shift-L, and then just delete all of those. So now we've got a bit less code. Now our styling is going to be a bit messed up here because we're not surrounding these with Semantic UI form field elements, and the form inputs we were using had that form field wrapped around it, although we didn't necessarily specify it in the form. So don't worry about the styling just now, we will come back to that. But we're just looking at how we can use this with a bit less code. Now, because we're using the field, and this automatically wires up to Formik, we no longer need the values or the handle change being passed down to our form here, just the handle submit for now. So let's see how we're doing now. And if we go back to our browser and take a look at our form, well, the styling is a bit messed up because now we've just got normal inputs, but the inputs are still wired up. We can still see our form in here, and if I make a change and I click submit, then we've still got access to our form inside there. If we create an activity and just type in some random information, then we can submit this as well, and we see the fields being populated with that information. Pretty cool. But we can go further. But before we reduce our code even further, what we'll take a look at next is something that we haven't touched yet, which is validating our input fields. So we'll take a look at how we deal with validation in Formik next.